at the time of recording this podcast. And that is why Carl is saying thumbs up and happy Tuesday edition. Okay, so some people, they like Taco Tuesday, you know. It's a thing. I have to admit that as much as I love tacos, kind of ate a little bit too many tacos, so I had this thing. If you know me, you know this about me. I had this thing where I decided that Tacos Tuesday was supposed to be a thing in my life, so every Tuesday I would go out to eat tacos. I tried almost all of the taco places in Vancouver, but the problem is, well, at one point, you know, you're not a cat, right? You're not a cat. Yeah, so you kind of get tired of eating the same food all the time. So it was too much taco every Tuesday. I guess like once a month, taco would be okay with me, but I'm not that type of person that can have taco every single Tuesday. Too much taco. And then you might be like, well, Piper, come on. You could eat other things that are kind of taco but not taco because, you know, Mexican food is just like a taco but different. So there's tortilla soup, which is a taco but in a soup. Then there's a burrito, which is a taco with rice. And then there's like, you know, all these other things like, oh yeah, you know, like chimichanga, which is a taco but deep fry. And then there's taquitos, which is a taco but a roll of taco, like a cigar of taco. And then there's the other one, flotas. Flotas are actually my favorite. Yeah. What is a flotas? I know it's so weird, right? Because of the name. Taquitos sounds way better than flotas. But flotas is actually a taquito, but instead of having cornbread or corn tortilla, well, it's a wheat tortilla, which I prefer way, way better. I mean, corn just has this little, you know, corn texture to it that stays there, which is good. I mean, cornmeal is okay. I mean, it has its own thing. But a flotas, yeah. I mean, wheat is great. Gluten is awesome. I don't know why people are freaking out on gluten, because gluten is amazing. It makes things stick together. It's actually like really good in your mouth compared to corn that just totally. I love corn. Plus, like, I love popcorn. I love Tostitos, chips. I like corn tortillas in general. I mean, I'm not against it. I mean, a lot of people like New York style pizza, they put cornmeal on the pizza, like at the end or in the dough. It's a thing. Now, but the thing is, it's just there's no gluten in there, right? You know, so it disintegrates like gluten-free bread. It's just like crumbs everywhere, you know? That's exactly what non-gluten food is. Crumbs everywhere. Which I kind of do not like that much. And if you're like, Piper, why are we talking about gluten and tacos and all of that? Well, because we are here on While You Wait, the podcast that aims to entertain you and bring you some information about electric vehicles. It broadcasts live on the YouTube channel Two Girls, One Electric Car. And you can always find it in our YouTube podcast playlist, which is available whenever you need us to be available. Yeah, it stays there forever. You click it, you listen to it, you copy paste it, you send it to a friend. Do it right now. There's a share arrow right down there. Just do it. Plus, I need to take this time to do a special thanks to all of our Patreon. I'm gonna start doing this now. Ooh, I know you're excited about this. So thank you to all of our amazing Patreons. We have Montague. Yeah, that's a bit like, you know, Shakespearean, but it's okay. Wayne Phillips, Wayne O'Brien, lots of Waynes in there. EDM, Graham, John Gaybert, Change of Heart. I guess, well, this has a change of heart. It's going EV, yeah? Then we have Tomato. Oh, this one is a bit more complicated. Jim Jam, the Truth Man. I mean, this would be a great name for a band, right? And then Howie N from England. I don't know. England is kind of complicated, right? So there's England, but in England, there's like the UK, right? There's UK, there's England. Then there's a whole bunch of countries like in England, in the UK, which is not England, because there's like Wales, and there's like, it's so confusing, and it's not that big, you know? So this is, I haven't done my geography class like that high yet, but I'll be working on it. I'll be working on it. Rachel Hamilton. We don't know if Rachel is a woman or a man, but thank you for being there, Rachel. Tim Roark. That's such a cool name, right? Roark. It sounds like you could be one of these guys in the Lord of the Rings. You know the ones that have like the face in their hand? Like those guys? They're mean elves. They're like not good people. They have like, they have white hands stuck in their face. They're like gremlins or something, but like giant format. Matthew Bassett, thank you very much. Wilmer Garcia, Max Power, and Carl DeBurs. So these are all of our actual Patreons. If you want to be a Patreon, super easy. Just go to patreon.com/2girlsoneelectriccar. When we make short clips or videos, you get to see all the behind the scenes and the bloopers, which there is a lot of when I make the videos. So I make videos about once a week right now. Plus, well, you get to support us and making more awesome podcasts like this one, and for us to be able to distribute them on all of the podcast platforms. Yeah, that means Spotify, Deezer, iHeartRadio, also Amazon Podcasts, and many others. So thank you to everybody who has joined as our Patreon. We do really appreciate you, and we're gonna shout you out in every podcast from now on. Super mega easy. The myths about the Hummer. I know you're ready for this, right? You've wanted a Hummer since you were a kid because it's so badass. It's so army style. That's why I have an army costume right now. So if you're listening to the podcast, I suggest you go to YouTube, 2 Girls, 1 Electric Car, and you kind of click on it because then you get to see my weird, shiny, sparkly, bedazzled army gear. I even wear space buns to make sure that I don't get my hair caught in the door of the Hummer. You never know. Thank you to everybody who's tuned in. We got Walter Johnson who's here. Okay, Hummers. Some people like Hummers, some don't. Well, I guess that's just about philosophy, right? Some people like Hummers, some don't. But what's the percentage? This is what we're gonna talk about in this. Okay, Snoopy. I'm not gonna say that because we're on YouTube. Come on, we can't do that here. Wayne is here. Michael Luders gives us a whole bunch of love. A.K.A. Fumbler, allô? Ouais, bonjour à tous ceux qui parlent français. Si jamais vous parlez français, ben vous pouvez commenter en français parce que je suis bilingue. Super easy. So I just said that, well, I speak French too. So if you're francophone and you don't understand anything because there's not like instant closed caption on YouTube, well, don't worry. Just ask me a question in French and translate it, and it's going to make it more interesting. I like the game Cornhole. I hope... I don't want to go there. I'm not going to Google this because I feel like it could be something that is not on that side of the internet, right? Gluten, the glue. Yes, gluten is the glue that sticks the bread together, that makes it so delicious, mushy, moist, and just good, right? Everything else is bad. Yeah, I feel that. Snoopy says 2 girls. Yeah, not yet. Not yet. Still working on the second girl. We need a second girl. Got an interview this afternoon right after this, so we'll see. Maybe this is gonna be the right fit, the perfect fit, the will it fit of 2 girls, 1 electric car. AKA Fumbler says... soon, Snoop. I mean, there's a lot of Snoop Dogs in here. We're in British Columbia, guys. And marijuana is legal. You shouldn't drive and do it, but it's still legal. FSD, yeah. Full self-drive. For when you feel the need, the urge. But you still have to drive. Plus, FSD is completely illegal here. No wonder why. Weed is legal. That's why. Gotta have the gluten. Yeah, I totally agree. Bubs Lightyear says, good day. It is a wonderful day today, actually. I mean, lots of things is going on. I don't want to get a Hummer car. I just want to get a Hummer. Wayne, I'm not sure I get that one. Like, you just want... Is there sexual connotation to this that I have no idea about? Maybe there is. Again, I will not Google this, but feel free to leave a comment because it is completely free to leave comments. And when you leave a comment, you're actually engaging with the video and with the live podcast, which we adore. So make sure that you log into your YouTube channel, your Gmail, whatever you need to log into to be able to comment. Give us some ideas for next podcast. I mean, make sure that you go crazy. Bring your hater friends. Doesn't matter. We're just looking for any attention we can have because this channel is not yet monetized.
We need a poll.
A poll?
Have you watched all the podcasts yet?
Oh, that's a good poll.
If no, why not?
Okay, so...
We'll do it at
poll.
this weekend.
Poll.
Yes,
Poll.
we'll do it this weekend.
Have you listened to all of our podcast episode to the next episode? Snoop Dogg. Yeah, I was on it. Did you get that? Okay. So, yes, no, I will do it this weekend.
We need watch hour.
We need watch hour. How many watch hour are we at? We are close. We are very close to getting the 3,000 watch hours that we need. 2,261. Thank you very much for everybody who is listening in while you wait for your wife to be ready, while you wait for that taco to have gluten in it. And, well, I don't know, while you wait for people to be more tolerant about gluten. Religion, I say, you can not be tolerant, that's fine. We need a world without religion. But gluten, come on, people, what did gluten ever do to you? Unless you're like one of these people that are really allergic to gluten, but this is very, very rare. The other people are just fucked up in their head in a good way, in a bad way. They have other issues, but it's not the gluten. Don't blame it on the gluten. I should make t-shirts about this. Okay, let's get back to electric vehicles. Because, well, AKA Fumbler says I'll take both. One in the other would be alright. What's the Hummer? What's a Hummer? There seems to be stuff that I don't know about Hummers. They talk just like you, Piper, the England people. They can't talk like me. I talk like a Quebecois with a mix of like something Swedish. Even, okay, so I know, so you know Kate? Yeah, she told me I sounded Swedish. So I was at this soiree where people wear very little clothes and they dance, and then there's other people. It's called Sin City. I'll let you Google it. You'll understand everything. And so this lovely woman, she like comes to me and she's like, "You sound like Swedish." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. I sound like the Swedish chef from the Muppets, right?" She's like, "Yeah," and I'm like, "No, I'm not Swedish. I'm from Quebec, but I get that a lot." Then she also complimented other parts of my body. She said I looked a lot like Suki. My real doll. If you don't know what a real doll is, I mean, I don't know. The Hummer would be okay, I see. That's what it is. A Hummer? Is a hammer or a Hummer?
The hammer would be
Wow. It's a BG, BG, the Bee Gees. It's the Bee Gees. It's the Bee Gees. Well, I never had one of those because I'm a woman. But also never heard a guy say, "Hey, Piper, you want to give me a Hummer?" No, that has not happened. And I'll tell you how much that's going to cost you later in the podcast, because we are going to talk about Hummers. The history of the Hummer, how it all came to be. Yes, we're going to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Because I know, everybody loves him, right? He was like Mr. Universe. He's like great guy, right?
Conan the Barbarian.
Yeah, Conan the Barbarian.
You are old, I am.
That tells you I saw that one in VHS too, you know? Yeah. I saw Conan the Barbarian in VHS. The Hummer is being replaced. Well, okay. We're gonna get there. Watchtower, the bookstore. No idea what you're talking about, Snoopy. Max Power, thank you for being here. Carl is like right up in here. And I have missed some. Don't worry, Carl. You can always listen in whenever you want, wherever you want, because it's on YouTube on the podcast playlist. We're also on Spotify. I know. You're like, whoa, Piper, you're upgrading your game. Yeah, we're on Spotify, people. We are on Spotify. Now, Hummer/Ferrari chase scene in The Rock. I haven't seen that one, cycling for fun, but I'll need to check it out. I need to check it out. Okay, let's start this, because I know you're all excited about Hummers, right? And why everyone hates Hummers. So we are going to talk about why everyone hates Hummers by saying the myths around Hummers. Because it's just like myths seem to work really well as a hashtag and as a title for videos. So if you hate Hummers, you need to tell us why. But first things first, we're going to go to our poll and check this out. Have you listened to all of our podcast episodes? 56% say yes. Oh, it just went down to 50%. What's wrong with you? You're listening to this one. What makes it so you can't listen to all the other ones all the time? It's a podcast. You just play it while you're doing the dishes, while you're cooking, while you're in your car, while you wait for your electric vehicle to charge. I mean, you can play it whenever, wherever. It's background music. And then you learn, you laugh. It's like listening to the radio, but podcasts are the new radio, right? I think this is what it means. So I don't like these numbers. So I'm not going to read the other ones. You better change these numbers until the end of the podcast. And then we'll talk about them later. Okay, so that being said, where's my timer? Hey, I'm not on the right page. That's what's happening. Okay, there it is. Oh, super cool. Okay, perfect. All right. Let's get this party started. Woohoo, woohoo, woohoo. Okay. myths about Hummers. Well, first things, like I said, we need to talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger. You don't know who Arnold Schwarzenegger is? I'm gonna put his face here. Because, I mean, this is not possible. Arnold Schwarzenegger. Look at this face. This is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ta-da, ta-da. Plus, I mean, it's great that we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger because he kind of means a lot of things for this podcast. Well, being, of course, you know, is it that guy from the movie? Ta-da, ta-da. Yeah, RoboCop, which is not RoboCop, right? Terminator. Yeah, the other one is Sylvester Stallone. Adrian! Yeah, okay. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, he had 7 Hummers. And then he sold 6 Hummers. And then he kept kind of an EV1. So Arnold Schwarzenegger is an actor, but before that, he was Mr. Universe. Yeah, so bodybuilders, super like, you know, the people that like to get tan and put oil all over the body. I like to do one of these things. I'll let you guess which one. No, it's not the tanning, right? I'm so white and nerdy. But the thing is, Arnold Schwarzenegger, well, he's a very interesting guy, you know, because he decided to also become, I think, something like governor of California, which is pretty intense. And if you know about California, because you've listened to one of our previous podcasts on the EV1, you know that California implemented really strict laws with the carb. It's like it's not carbs like gluten, people. See, I knew it was gonna match at some point. No. With carbs, it's like the like air rules of California when actually the company, you know, the Ford company, Chevy, whatever, they developed the GM. It's all like the same thing now. Well, they developed the EV1. That's just a bit before. It was called the Impact, right? The Impact car. So the EV1 was the Impact as a test car, and then it became the EV1 when they put it in the market. So they implemented a sort of rule which would make it so that the 7 more awesome, well, car companies will need to switch to EV. Actually, like 2% of their sales annually would need to be electric vehicles or very low emission vehicles, which was great. And it was like early adopter type of thing. But that made it so that the GM was like, no. Like we did the EV1, it's great, but it's going to cost too much money. It's not like, it's too much. So they went to like the court and law and all that, and they decided to like unroll this for the carb to be like, no, we're not doing this anymore. If you're not following, just go listen to the podcast about the EV1 because I go into details in that, and it's way better and simpler to understand over there. But that being said, California has been known to be really, really on point with everything type of like zero emission. I mean, eating avocado toast and smoothie. You know, it's California. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, being the governor of California, made a lot of sense that he needed to sell a few of his Hummers, right? Because Hummers are not like perceived as the more eco-friendly vehicle. And we're gonna get in details in why, how, and all of the myths about the actual Hummer. So, now that you know that about Arnold, yeah, our dear Arnold, well, you know that he actually became governor of California. He did it! Yay! Good for you, Arnold. And then, well, he switched to EV because he kind of had no choice, right? It kind of goes with the fact that you're governor of an actual state that is really green. A bit like Vancouver, British Columbia is pretty much like a pretty green province compared to the other provinces in Canada. I guess this probably because there's a lot more mushroom and marijuana from a lot more time before it was even legal. Yeah, so that's just my theory, a 2-cent theory. But if you like marijuana, make sure you share this podcast with everybody out there. We are open to anybody and everybody. So let's go here to Wayne, who actually starts it off. Oh my God, I'm losing parts. Okay, so actually starts it off. And so we're going to get into that right here, right now. Let's do it. The story behind the actual, well, Hummer. How did it all came to be? Well, we need to do a little bit of history, but don't worry, it's not like the history you did at school, right? It's way more fun. It's not like that bad. So the thing is, okay, Arnold, it's enough with your face now. We're gonna get here. So the history behind the Hummer. It's a great story, bro. So make sure you listen. So it was first designed as a military vehicle. Yeah. Because, well, it was there for the army, like the US Army. So that's why some people say like, oh, Hummers are tanks and blah, blah, blah. Hummer is like a military vehicle. Yes and no. Okay. So this is why we need to like clean the slate. We need to make like this thing straight. Just like gluten and corn, not the same thing. Flotas, taquitos, not the same thing. So we need to set the record straight, which I will do in a second. Meaning that yes, the Hummer was first designed as a military vehicle, but the Hummer you have now for the street is not one of those vehicles. I know. Don't get too confused. It's gonna make sense soon. So, okay, listen to this, because this is like the longest acronym ever. Ever. Okay, you ready for this? So, the company that designed the Hummer, because before it was called the Hummer, before it was a Hummer, it was called the High Mobility Multi-Purpose Wheeled, yeah, good thing the car has wheels, vehicle. Okay, for short, HMMWV or Humvee. HUMVEE. I know, now you're like, wow, Piper, this is crazy acronyms. Well, I don't know. I don't work in the military, even though I have the suit right now. But I think they're just trying to do something cool with it, and it's so complicated. So who was the first people to design the Hummer? It was not GM, actually, and that is a myth. Some people think that GM came up with it. Nope. It's actually AM General. AM General that made the design for the Hummer and that used it as a real military vehicle. But again, it was not called the Hummer back then. It was called the Humvee. It's a bit like the Impact was the EV1. It's like, it's different, bro. It's different. You need to like differentiate them, okay? So that's the first type of vehicle that looked like that was born. And so AM General, they actually sold some Hummers to the military. Because it was like, that was the point, right? It was a military vehicle. Not a tank. Military vehicle. Are we clear on this? Because I feel like we need to be clear on this. It's called AM General. Or some people say AMC Motors. I have no idea. It says AM General on my 2 card. So it must be right because I do my own research. Because I don't have a researcher. Working on it. Okay, so how did the Humvee, like the predecessor of the Hummer, become so popular? I know, you want to know, right? You want to talk war. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. Well, actually, it was during the Gulf War. Yeah, in the 1990s. That's when, like, the Humvee became like, ooh, I guess, like, you know, there was photography there and war photographer and journalism. And it's like people liked the looks of the Humvee. They were like, whoa, this is a cool car, cool truck, cool whatever that's called. I might want one day. And that is how we move on to the next part. But before we do so, make sure that you subscribe. Yes, because 2 Girls, 1 Electric Car has the podcast on weekdays, and we air it daily on the weekdays from 12 to 1 p.m. And when you're there, it makes it a lot more fun on the live comment section. So let me go read some of you guys' comment. Because Wayne Fail says, the Hummer's name comes from the military vehicle it's based on. The High Mobility yeah, that super long one. Humvee or Hummer. I don't know how that kind of, you know, when you play that telephone game, you just like whisper in people's ears. Somebody says like HMMWV, and then the other guy says Humvee, and then the other guy says Hummer, and then we're like, okay, we're keeping Hummer. Way simpler to pronounce. And then Howie says, Piper, I did not know this facts for the UK. Conventional license becomes invalid and category C1, H George V license is needed for the Hummer EV as it's over 4.1 tons. Oh, this is interesting info. So that means that you need a special driver's license in the UK to drive the Hummer EV because it's heavier. So I guess here we have that too, you know. For certain types of trucks or passenger vehicles, you need another license. It's commercial usually, or it's just like different because you need to be able to handle that weight, right? We don't want to put you behind the wheel of something that could kill more people if you don't know how to handle it. Not possible. So here we have aka Famlo who says, wow, 2,261 hours. Yeah, that's how many hours we have right now, which is amazing, right? But we need 3,000 watch time hours, meaning watch time, that means you can listen to the podcast too. It's fine. To get monetized on this channel. As soon as we unlock the 3,000 watch time hours, well, we're going to be able to get super chat, which means you're going to be able to donate right on YouTube during the lives that we do from Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Vancouver time, or you're going to be able to super thanks, which is give money whenever, wherever, from any video on the channel. So we don't need to be there in the live format. You just it's kind of like a tip. It's called super thanks. And then later, when we reach 4,000 watch hours, we'll be able to give you a bit of the same content that we give you on Patreon, but here on YouTube. So behind the scenes, pre-releases maybe for some of the videos, not podcasts because we do them live, so it's hard to pre-release something that's live, right? Time frame continuum problems. And so that's interesting, right? Schwarzenegger comes to our city every June. What's your city, Snoopy, and why does Arnold go there? Why? Does he like the hot dogs? Like, what's the appeal? Briskets? You think Arnold eats briskets? Maybe they have the best olive oil for his body. So you don't think he uses olive oil anymore? No, he's too old for that. Now he just does it dry. It's just dry Arnold. Dry Arnold. Oh, this is funny. Oh, okay. Interesting. RP adds some danger. He says Hummer is dangerous to others. Okay, 9,000 pounds. LBE, I think it's pounds. 0 to 60 in 4 seconds, that's good. That's good. They should have perfect automatic braking before they manufactured this. Well, okay, so you're against the Hummer, or you hate the Hummer, because you think it's dangerous for people to drive the Hummer, right? Makes sense. Okay, what else? GM should make an EV1 too. Well, they kind of did, RP. They made the Chevy Volt, which is not an EV completely. It's a different type of thing. And now GM, right? What does GM have? They have the Bolt, which is small and ugly, but I mean, it's full on EV. So if you're looking for something. Max Power says, a few years ago, I went to a car expo where a company was converting military Hummers into family cars, and they are humongous. That was before GM made them. Well, okay, so that's the interesting part that we're gonna get into. Thank you, Max Power, for this opening. Woohoo! Okay, so that being said, when did the Hummer or the Humvee become the Hummer? So H1, first Hummer model. Okay, when and how did it become a civilian car? Because you're not supposed to drive a tank, like a tank, a tank, military grade tank, on the street. This is not, the police is gonna come and like knock on your tank and be like, what are you doing? Why are you on the street like this? It's not gonna work out, right? So they decided to pierce the civilian market with the H1 model. And that was in 1992. I know, that took me by surprise too. The Hummer is actually like almost as old as me. Yeah. So 1992. So they wanted to keep some of the same military features, but without it being a military, vehicle, because you need for it to be on the road. So if you are too advantaged on the road, well, again, like RP says, it could be very dangerous for other people on the road. So you want to have highly trained military or police people or like all these safety people doing the like tank stuff, but not civilians, right? Because they're not trained for this. They just got their driver's license, and that's enough. So they decided to keep the rug design, and by rug design, I'm going to show you. So this is a real Hummer, military grade, that is actually on my iPad and that you can see in the video. Is it there? Yeah, it's there. Okay, I'm getting good with this.
Same
side as the iPad. It's super easy. So that's the thing. You can actually see it here. So it looks military mainly because it's painted in camo. That's pretty much it. And then it looks like it looks like a military thing. It looks like you could change pieces on it. But let's see the actual H1. This is a wiki image. We're gonna try to blow up. So they kept the rug look, but they put fresh paint on it, right? It looks a bit smoother, a bit nicer. It's still very boxy, and still a lot of place. It's huge. It looks huge. But that being said, the H1 is not the Humvee. They are not the same truck, or SUV, call it however you want. So they kept the rug design, and they also kept the off-road capabilities. Yeah, that's what they kept for like the philosophy behind the H1. So that's the first model. Also, it was sold as a luxury SUV. If you're like, well, Piper, is there like a champagne bottle in it, like a Rolls Royce? No, that's not why it's luxury. It's because it costs a lot of money. So if you want to sell something as a luxury vehicle, just because it costs a lot of money, it costs a lot of money. That's the only reason why I think they sold it as a luxury SUV. Which makes a lot of sense. I mean, so that was still made by the AM General Company, right? The ones that made them for the military. But in 1993, GM actually acquired the Hummer and decided to make the H2, which is like a newer revisited model. In 2003. In 2003, a dum-dum, GM acquired that company, like the Hummer, the AM General Hummer, in 2003, and they made the second model, so H2 model. So this is very interesting because, again, like I said, some people think that there's a myth behind GM not making the Hummer and then AM General making the Hummer. It's a bit different, but it was acquired. It was acquired and now it belongs to GM. I know this because I was like, electric scootering. Yeah. You're listening to Two Girls, One Electric Car. I have electric scooters. Yeah, this is like it's from my brand, right? So I was scootering to the Home Depot, and by going to the Home Depot here in Vancouver, there's a place, it's called Terminal Avenue, and then you get on there. And then to go to the Home Depot, there's actually a GM dealership, and there was a Hummer, an electric Hummer, like the pickup one, which we will see in a second, that was there. So I saw one. It is pretty massive. So that being said, when GM acquired, they made the H2, which is great Hummer. I mean, same that the first one, but different. But when it really changed is when they decided to make the H3. Yeah. Why did they decide to make the H3? Well, because like we said, the first Hummer, H1, H2, they were pretty expensive and they were bigger, and they had a few like things about them that made it so people hated them, like really hated them. I mean, some Hummers got destroyed, some Hummers got like keyed. Some people would just do that to Hummers because they were perceived as very not environmentally friendly. So there was a lot of, let's say, like destroying of property of these Hummers, unfortunately. So that really happened. But I'm gonna get you a few myths about the Hummer in a second. So the smaller version, the H3, is actually a smaller version of the Hummer, and it is more fuel efficient. So they made that one so it would cost less money and it would be more fuel efficient, and it would appease some of the people. So let's see the comparison between, see this? H1, H2, H3. So very different. The H1 looks a bit more like an army one. It's more like chopped, rugged, and all that. Then the H2, huge thing, like huge, but a bit more like a toy car. They made it so it's kind of more street legal. And then if you see the H3 compared to the H1 and the H2, well, the H3 is a bit smaller. It could almost look like a Jeep, but like a very fat Jeep. And fat like PHAT, right? So that's kind of like the thing, or a Defender or something like that. It is smaller than its two other ones, but still looks massive. So that's the main difference between H1, H2, H3. And then the price difference, really, for the H3. So for it to be smaller and more efficient in gasoline. So, are you ready for some myths? Okay, so let's talk about myths about the Hummer. Now, we're talking about all of those Hummers because some people, like I said, really hated the Hummer. And some people are probably going to keep on hating the Hummer. So why did they do that? Why did, all of the Hummers got hated? So Arnold Schwarzenegger goes to Snoopy's location because of the Columbus, Ohio weightlifting competition. That makes a lot of sense. Oh, and Howie says the Hummer is almost 7 feet wide. That's higher than me. And with the narrow UK country roads, it can be a tight fit if cars are parked on the side of the road too. That's so true, right? When we were in Reunion Island, we wanted to bring our Tesla there, Tesla Model X, but seriously, I don't think it would have fitted in most like street. It's not like going on the road can be okay on the highway, but then when you go on the roads, definitely not. And then when you try to park the car, I mean, it's all small cars in Europe. They don't have like SUVs. They don't have the space. It's not the same thing. So we really thought that it would not be a good idea. So I get it, Howie. I get it. I think like the Hummer is definitely wider than the Model X. Like totally for sure. Okay, myths about the Hummer. You ready for this? So first myth about the Hummer, it's indestructible, because some people say it's a tank, but no, it's not a tank. So it's not indestructible. You still need to do maintenance on it, and it's still more like a real SUV. It's even maybe, I'm gonna say this, but Elon, don't be mad, okay? Still want the Cybertruck. I'm doing this to get a Cybertruck for free. What is actually happening is that it isn't a military truck, and it's less indestructible than, I would say, the Cybertruck. Yeah, totally. Because the Cybertruck has stainless steel doors. And it's like bulletproof, yeah. Which the Hummer is not. No, the Hummer is not. Now, another myth about the Hummer is that it consumes a lot of gasoline. Okay, so it is kind of true for the H1 and the H2 models, yeah. Also, you need to get into account, it's an SUV, right? And it's like, if Aoi says it's 4.1 tons, imagine how many sandwiches you need to feed somebody that would like weigh the same thing. It's just too much. It's just too much. So that being said, the H3 is a lot better at not consuming as much gasoline. And then, well, they made the EV Hummer. So this one, let's not even talk about it. I mean, it's a myth now. If you want a Hummer, you can just get the EV one, and then you'll have no problem with gasoline or anything like that. Super easy. Okay. Some people also thought, yeah, that's another myth for you. We're debunking myths right now. Make sure you share this video with everybody that is on your social media. You can grab that URL. It's right down there. There's a share arrow. You copy paste it, click it, you open it, there's a pop-up. You can share on Facebook, Reddit, X, or just copy paste the URL and send it via text message to a friend, a family member, somebody who likes Hummers, somebody who hates Hummers. Doesn't really matter, as long as we engage in a super awesome conversation in the comment section on YouTube. Oh yeah, because while you wait for all vehicles to become electric, well, you listen to the podcast that has the same name while you wait. And I mean, if Hummer made an EV, imagine the possibilities for all other huge cars. Like even Cadillac just came out with an EV. So this is like really interesting, right? RP says Hummers are fingerprint resistant. Is that because they're military, so you can't steal them, right? That'd be weird.
Because Cybertruck is not
Oh, because Cybertruck. Oh, because Cybertruck is not fingerprint resistant because it's stainless steel. It's like when you have stainless steel refrigerators, right? I had a friend. He had a stainless steel refrigerator. He was always washing that thing. Every time you put your fingers on it, you see it, right? He was always watching that thing. So just don't get that if you don't like fingerprints. But again, do you mind? There's bullet holes in your doors. So I mean, a fingerprint, nobody cares about that. Off-road only. Yeah, some people thought that the Hummer was only for off-roading, right? But I think now we know, because we kind of debunked this myth, because we've seen a lot of Hummers in real life. On the roads, yeah. With big tires, okay, I'll grant you that. But I don't think all people who have Hummers bring it in the wood or in the trail or all of that. It was kind of meant to be a sort of Rivian Defender / Jeep community, so adventure, off-road, trail, but luxury style. I think that's what the Hummer was meant for, but not everybody did that with it. Or like, maybe it's just not a big enough community as compared to the Jeep community to really have that. I mean, I've seen a few Hummers, but quite frankly, I've rarely seen one dirty. I've seen more Jeeps that were dirty. And when I say Jeeps, I mean like the Wrangler Unlimited Limited. I don't mean like the Jeeps that are more SUV family oriented, not the soccer mom Jeeps, like the Jeeps that have doors that are able to be removed. So that being said, okay, are you ready for this one? I've been talking about it, but are you ready? So, another myth, myth that we need to debunk is Hummers are tanks. No, Hummers are not tanks. Why are they not tanks, Piper? Because they don't have armor. Again, they're not bulletproof. A tank should kind of sort of be a bit bulletproof, right? Because it's a tank. You go to war with it. And then they have no weapons. Like a tank has a weapon. There's yeah, Rambo style. A tank has a weapon. And a tank is sort of should be at least kind of bulletproof, right? So they are civilian vehicles. Still super cool, badass civilian vehicles, but they're not tanks. If you want to buy a tank, buy a tank. A Hummer is not a tank. It's a civilian vehicle. Just that looks really cool. Okay, what else do we got here? Oh, okay. It does have, again, the off-road capabilities, which makes it super nice because it's meant for that, but not a tank. It's not because you can bring it in the trail with a little bit of water and dirt that it makes it so you can go to war with it, okay? And another one that is really interesting because this is all related to what we're doing. There's a huge myth saying that Hummers destroy the roads. What? Well, okay, I mean, I understand that it's a 4.1 ton vehicle, and that's the EV one, which makes a lot of sense because, like, batteries are heavy, yeah, in general. But if you have all of these semis that are on the roads, why would the actual Hummer destroy the road when a semi will destroy the road a lot more? Like, so this I don't like this. It makes no sense, right? Then I'm not saying that semis don't destroy the roads. They do, but again, we need to transport things and do things. So yes, you are opting for a bigger vehicle. It does cost more, and it's a whole bunch of things needs to go into that. But in general, it's not true that they're destroying more than another vehicle would destroy, I guess, in that sense. Then also the environment. Well, the environment meaning that yes, they consume a lot of gasoline because there are big cars. We're talking about the non-EV Hummer, of course. H1, H2, H3. Not H4, which is the electric one. So that's a thing you need to understand. It's just yes and no, yes and no. I would say, like, come on, not that much. Snoopy says MRAPs have been replacing the Hummer because they are bulletproof. What? Okay, so here in Canada, to have bulletproof options on your vehicle, you actually need a special license. You can't just go there, do that. Well, you can until you get caught by the police. And then, well, they're going to do something about it. Okay, Piper, what about the Hummer being discontinued? Yeah, I know. We have all heard that, right? The Hummer was like not a thing for a while. So let me go there. Bam, I'm going to show you this one. Super nice. So Hummer was discontinued. It's true. During the financial crisis GM had in 2010, they discontinued the whole Hummer thing. So there was no more Hummer. They weren't making any Hummers for, I don't know, just because I guess there was so much repercussion because it was seen as a like super not EV or not like environmentally friendly vehicle. Plus, well, everybody had money troubles because it's after 2008. So financial crisis and everything like that just made it so they stopped. But what happened then? Well, in 2020, I don't know what, but they decided to come up with the electric Hummer. Yeah. So that happened in 2020, which is like a few years ago, of course, at the like recording of this podcast, but still they decided to come back up with it. So there must have been a good incentive for them to do that. I guess like with the market as it is and with Tesla like becoming more there and some other electric vehicles like the Rivian, which is more pickup truck and truck oriented, maybe there was a place for the Hummer to be there in this kind of luxury EV robust off-road. Yeah, I can continue with adjectives, but I think you get it. Woohoo! So that being said, I got more myths for you, but these are only related to the EV Hummer. Because we talked about myths about the non-EV Hummer, which is great because that gives us a little bit of a backstory and everything like that on Hummers in general, right? So let's talk about the backstory of the Hummer EV. So EV myths about the Hummer. Some people think that it's actually Tesla who made the EV Hummer. Yeah, I know. Who thinks that? You think that? No. Okay, it's cool. So maybe because Tesla has such a reputation in electric vehicles and maybe because the Cybertruck and all of that, but actually it's fully made by GM. There's no no correlation between the EV Hummer and Tesla. Okay, maybe some of the engineers, I don't know, they switch jobs. Like that can happen. Parallel job search or like for a higher raise. Maybe there's some people from Rivian. Like I said, this technology is available, right? It's there. So we don't know who took it from where. I don't work for these companies. I'm just a podcast hoster. But that being said, this is interesting. The Indian with voice. Oh, it's great because there's some people that don't have voices, right? It happens. Why Tesla is not coming to India? No idea. Have you asked Elon? You should ask Elon why he's not coming to India. Must have a good point. I don't know. I remember 2020. Thank you, RP, for saying that. I mean, I think 2020, a lot of people remember 2020. It was COVID year. Which was not that great, right? Not that great. So, how expensive is the Hummer EV? So this is the Hummer EV. See, I'm pronouncing the H. This is great. I'm getting better at this. So as you can see on my iPad, if you're there in the video format, the Hummer EV comes in a few different type of Hummers. It's a bit like the Rivian, you know? So there's a pickup Hummer and then there's a like boxy one, which is a bit more like the older ones. So the Hummer EV, let's go see here, GMC, bam, Hummer EV pickup truck and then Hummer EV SUV. Now, the Canadian dollar one, the most affordable Canadian dollar one Hummer is $131,098 Canadian, which means about $118,000 USD. So it's when we say it's a luxury, it's over $100,000, and that's without specs, right? Without customization. You didn't go crazy on it. You just took like the base model of the Hummer. So I guess it's a bit similar to a Tesla Model X. Again, not the same features, not the same car at all. Like completely different type of vehicle, but it's still pretty expensive. Like if you're looking, oh, I want a vehicle, you're talking like $120,000 vehicle. This is the price range it's at right now. And that's without all the specs and features. Howie Ann says, I don't think I would like to take the EV Hummer off-road, being as it is so heavy, especially in very muddy environments. Well, okay, that's an interesting point, Howie. Actually, you know that like the Rolls Royces are really heavy, right? And they do very well off-road because of the engineering and all of that. So even in the desert, because before they actually put the Rolls Royce on the market, they make it do like the whole entire world. In like road tripping. So I've seen like the Cullingham and then even the Spectre from Rolls-Royce, which is their EV, go into very different terrains. I'm not saying it would be the best for muddy environments. I'm just saying like they still kind of make these vehicles for that. So I don't know how good it would act as a dune buggy or as an actual like muddy terrain type of vehicle. It would need to be tested. So if you have more information about that, make sure you leave a comment because that would be really cool. Also, I think, yeah, maybe Hummers don't climb, they crush. Well, maybe you're looking to make wine. I don't know. Some people like that. So the thing is, the range on the Hummer EV is pretty good range. It's about 381 miles. Again, that's ideal conditions, of course, which makes it like 500 kilometers. I mean, it's not the biggest range that you can have. Tesla's newest range goes to about 400 miles, which is starting to be really, really good. Like that's almost as much as a gas vehicle. Maybe not a diesel vehicle, but 500 kilometers. It's pretty good range for something that heavy. If we're talking 4.1 tons, I mean, this is good, right? This is good. The Indian with voice says EVs are good and are just perfect example of finesse. But there's a but. How much its battery will thrive over the years. Plus replacement cost of the battery is too high. Yeah, I agree with that. So the thing is, yeah, resale value right now of EVs is kind of going down at the time of this podcast. But there are solutions out there, and there are other newer companies that are developing really small cars, or BYD, which is, well, thinking of having a battery pack that could be like replaceable or swappable. Meaning when you buy your EV, it comes with another battery. Like you would just swap the battery, which interestingly enough, the EV1 did. So the EV1 actually, when they pulled out Gen 2 of the EV1, so there was Gen 1 and Gen 2. They took all the EV1 Gen 1 and they swapped the batteries. So it's called retrograde or something like that. So they swapped the batteries for the newer ones. So if all electric vehicles in the future would have the possibility, or it would be like a dealership thing, to include the price of the replacement battery, I think that would be awesome for many people, because that would make many people reconsider the purchase of the EV. Then yes, you can swap the battery, but it's still very expensive, like close to 20 grand on some vehicles to swap that battery. Why did the... Okay. This is interesting. RA has a dad joke. We're gonna wait for this, RA. We're gonna wait for this. Now, okay, some people say also that the Hummer EV is just not powerful enough for off-roading, which I guess some people say that a lot of electric vehicles just, they have instant torque, which is great, but maybe they don't have that pull, like the great pull. So if you want to pull a trailer, some horses, I don't know, your RV, your camper, your trailer with your motorcycles, well, it's true that a battery will deplete in a very different way than a car would in that sense. So this kind of pull effect has to be considered, but for off-roading and things like that, I mean, it goes off-road, it goes on-road. I don't see why that would be different, but that's just me. So these beautiful EV Hummers, yeah, they could be yours. Imagine that. You could buy one. And I just saw one here in Canada. So they are available in Canada now. There's the pickup version, and then there's the SUV version. And again, this is not sponsored by Hummer or by GM, but hey, would love to have a free ride. Yeah, that'd be super cool. Because, well, this podcast, again, like I said, airs from Monday to Friday at 12 p.m. Vancouver time. So we talk about many different types of subjects that are related to electric vehicles, but just cars in general. We try to be a bit more philosophical, entertaining, and we'll drop some facts in there so that you get real fun facts. Okay, you see what I did there? Yeah, totally. Okay, so Howie says the EV Hummer battery is weighing almost 3,000 pounds, which is 1.400 kilograms. This is interesting. RP says EV batteries last a long time. It's true. I mean, even most Teslas, they do last a long time. I'm not saying the charging is going to be as efficient because the battery does degrade. But again, you need to change pieces on your car, like on your ICE car, so gasoline car. The thing with an EV is you don't really need to change as many pieces because there are less moving parts on an electric vehicle. But when you need to change that battery or the brake regenerating system, that's going to cost you a lot more money. But keep in mind that you are saving all of that maintenance cost all over these years. So yeah, it's maybe like a lump sum for the battery, but at the same time, you didn't pay that over the years of changing the oil, changing the pistons, I mean, not breaker fluid, but all these other fluids that are in your engine per se. So it's a different thing, right? It's a completely different beast, the EV. So now tell me what you think. We're gonna go back to our... Why is all that open? Okay, we're gonna go back to our poll, because at the beginning of the podcast, we did a poll. Have you listened to all of our podcast episodes? What's wrong with you people? Why have you listened to all of them? Maybe because I produce 5 a week. And that's a lot. That's 5 hours a week of listening. But just keep that in mind. If you sleep 5 hours a night, you can just listen to the podcast 5 hours a night. I mean, this is great. And that's in one night, you can do the whole entire week, which makes it super easy to join. That being said, yes, 45% of people have listened to all of our podcasts. Thank you to all of you who are actually super intense fans and are listening to everything. Please tell us more of the subjects that you'd like us to cover. Yeah, super easy. Drop a comment. Tell us the type of subjects you'd like us to cover. If you've seen other channels...
Tomorrow's subject.
Yeah, tomorrow's subjects. What's tomorrow's subjects? Just tell us in a comment right now and we'll do it. We're that simple and easy. That loose, as they say. And then 30% say no. I guess I understand why 30% say no. They haven't listened to all of the podcasts because there's over 50 podcasts already, and this channel was born on the 1st of April 2024, and we are at the time of this recording June 18. So we did produce a lot of podcasts and are keeping on producing a lot of podcasts. But that being said, you can subscribe to our podcast, you know that, by subscribing to the YouTube channel, of course. But if you go on our Spotify feed. You can subscribe to the podcast playlist there as well. So every time a new episode drops, well, if you're more on Spotify for your podcast and just your music in general than YouTube, which I completely understand, well, you can get a little notification every time one of our podcasts gets out from Spotify. So if you're a Spotifyer, it would be good to do that. If you are a YouTuber, you like YouTube, you're always on YouTube, then just make sure you turn on the notifications. That way, like all notifications for the channel, that way when we're live, you're gonna get a notification to be able to join in. Maybe you're not working right now, so while you wait to work again, you can listen in. And well, maybe also, I don't know, you're just like having other things, and so you like to have notifications for all of the other short videos and long format videos that we do here on the channel. So make sure you activate all of that. Born on April Fools. Yeah, so we kind of activated the channel, like got the name and all that, the first on March, I think 26 or something like that. But then really uploaded the first episode on April 1st. So yeah, April Fools. But it was like that. There's nothing foolish about this podcast. I'm gonna see it on the next weekend for sure. Thank you, the Indianwood voice. Ice cars sounds so cool. That's from Snoopy. Yeah, well, there is like that sound and that vibration to gasoline vehicles that EVs don't have yet. But I've heard from Chris, who left us because I told him that he could leave us, and he did. No, he never came back. A man of his word. Let's just call Chris a man of his word. So that being said, well, the Ioniq 5 is supposed to have some features where you can actually shift, and it's supposed to make noise. Yeah, I don't know about the vibration, but it's supposed to make noise. So if the actual Rolls-Royce was able to keep a little bit of noise in the cabin, because the way they made it at first was just not noisy enough, so people got like seasick or vehicle sick, and they got like really claustrophobic in the Rolls-Royces because it was too dampening of a sound. You know, like that place where you go that is like this, there's no sound in it. It's like a special room you go in, and it's supposed to be terrorizing because people are not used to no sound. So that being said, well, I mean, I guess, yeah, if you like the sound, it's okay. Some cars do sound, some don't, but maybe, just maybe, EVs will have the option to have sound in later days. Yeah, and I mean all EVs, because some people like it, and also it might be a safety issue too. EVs are so silent that if you go in like small roads and things like that, people really don't hear you, especially now with like AirPods and all of these other types of like devices you put in your ears because you are listening to our podcast while you're in the alley, right? So that being said, it makes a lot of sense. Okay, what else we have here? Suggested topic. Will EV companies' stock price will rise this year, or will they fumble? Oh, it's like finance and EV mixed together. I don't know. This is an idea. Car finance. Maybe a podcast on which option extra would you have on your car that you would not normally find on a car. Oh, that'd be cool, like a futuristic thing. Like, what option would you like to have on your car? A bit like when Tesla put Spotify on the car, you know? So some guy said he wanted like a solar panel on the car. Some people could say maybe, I don't know, I want a fridge in my car. I want all cars to have fridge. This could be cool. And then, okay, to get back to our poll, we have 25% of our listeners/viewers who says, I will do this weekend. So they will listen to all of the podcasts this weekend. Snoopy always has an idea, and his idea for that is ejection seats. I don't think those would be legal, but great idea.
You need to have no roof.
Yeah, definitely no roof, right? Or that would be really dangerous. Okay, let me find that joke. I think it was from RP. Where is the joke? Let me put you some music while I find the joke. Somebody contributed a joke. I just need to find it in the live comment section.
Why the Hummer cross the river?
Okay, I got the joke. Are you ready? Why did the Hummer cross the river? I don't have it. You need to tell it to me. I have it from you.
To claim the insurance.
Okay, why did the Hummer cross the river? To claim the insurance! Oh, this is funny. Seriously, I thought Hummers were supposed to be like a bit more rigid and a bit more good than that. So hoping that they don't need to cross the river. James Bond had ejection seats. It was kind of funny. Yeah, James Bond's not a real person, right? That's why this happened. You can't just eject people like that for fun. But you know that on the Tesla, there's actually a feature. It's called fart. So you can make the passenger fart without them knowing, which is super cute and super funny. So thank you, the Indian with voice, for the actual joke. But I think it's not him who said the joke. It's somebody else. Is it Carl who said the joke? Or RP? There's so many jokes out there. Okay. Somebody said the joke. Thank you to the person that said the joke. You know who you are, right? Okay, perfect. Now, thank you again to all of our awesome Patreons. If you want to Patreon us, super easy. Go to patreon.com/2girls1electric car. Only one girl for now, but we're working on it. And well, we'll see you in the next one. Until then, you can listen to my voice whenever, wherever you want. Just go to the podcast playlist. It is available right here, right now on the channel. It's called While You Wait, because while you wait for your electric vehicle to charge, you can listen to the podcast. Oh, wasn't RP. Okay, ciao.